So, what if I told you there was a hidden rulebook for the universe, a set of spiritual laws that, if you really understood them, could totally change how you see your life? Well, today we're decoding a fascinating map that some believe governs our entire existence. Let's dive into the 12 universal laws.
Have you ever just had that feeling that there's more going on than what we can see? Almost like there's a kind of spiritual physics working behind the scenes? That's the exact question we're exploring today. What if there are rules that, if you learn to work with them instead of against them, could change, well, everything?
Okay, so take a look at this. This image right here is our guide. It lays out what are known as the 12 universal laws. Think of it like a blueprint for reality itself. We're going to walk through this map, law by law, to really get a handle on how this whole intricate system might actually work.
We're going to start with the absolute foundation. These first three laws, they're the bedrock of this entire philosophy. If you can wrap your head around these, you'll understand the core engine that drives all the others.
So first, we'll get into how everything is fundamentally connected. Then, we'll uncover this idea of constant motion that's under everything in existence. And finally, we'll explore the kind of mind-bending concept that our inner world literally creates our outer world.
So the very first law is divine oneness. And the idea here is that at the deepest, most fundamental level, everything, and I mean every person, every thought, every single atom, is all part of one single unified consciousness. It means every action you take sends a little ripple out through this huge interconnected web.
Okay, so everything's connected. What's flowing between it all? Well, that brings us to the law of vibration. This law says that nothing is really solid or still. Everything, from a huge mountain to a tiny thought, is just pure energy vibrating at its own unique frequency. You know, positive emotions like joy, they vibrate really fast. Negative ones like fear, they vibrate much, much slower.
And this leads us to a really powerful conclusion, the law of correspondence. It states that patterns just repeat themselves all across the universe. You've probably heard the phrase, as within, so without. Well, this means your external reality, the world you see and experience, is a direct mirror of your internal state. It's a reflection of the vibrations you're holding inside.
All right, with that foundation in place, let's move from just understanding the universe to actually shaping it. These next few laws are like the creator's toolkit. These are the principles for turning a thought into a tangible reality.
We'll explore the super famous law of attraction, but then we'll see why it's pretty much useless without its crucial partner, the law of inspired action. And finally, we'll learn the secret to actively changing our own energy to get the results we actually want.
Here's the one you've probably heard of, the law of attraction. It builds directly on that law of vibration we just talked about. It says, simply, that like attracts like. So the energy you broadcast out into the world with your thoughts and feelings will magnetically pull similar energetic frequencies right back to you. If you focus on lack, you get more lack. Focus on abundance, you attract abundance.
But, and this is a big but, just passively wishing for things isn't the whole story. Not even close. The law of inspired action is the critical next piece of the puzzle. It says you have to take real-world intuitive actions that move you, both physically and energetically, toward your goal. It's the bridge that connects your inner world to the outer one.
See, these two laws are a powerful pair. You really can't have one without the other. The law of attraction is what draws the opportunity into your orbit. But it's the law of inspired action that makes you actually reach out and grab it. They are two halves of the exact same creation process.
And this, right here, is where your true power lies. The law of perpetual transmutation of energy says that energy is always moving, it's never static, and it can always be changed. What that means is you are never, ever stuck. With conscious effort, you can take lower vibrational energy, like fear or doubt, and transform it into higher, more creative energy.
So we know how to create, but how does the universe respond to what we do? This next set of laws governs the journey of life. They're the principles of consequence, reward, and perspective.
We're going to dig into the mechanics of what we call karma, explore how the universe rewards what you put out, and uncover why your biggest challenges might actually be your most important lessons in disguise.
The law of cause and effect, or as most of us know it, karma, is so simple yet so profound. Every single thought, word, and action sends a ripple out into the universe, and that energy will, inevitably, find its way back to you. It means nothing is random. Everything is a response to something else.
And building right on top of that is the law of compensation. You can think of this as the universe's great equalizer. It basically ensures that you get back in direct proportion to what you give. So the blessings and the abundance you have in your life are a direct reflection of the value, the love, and the effort you put out into the world.
Okay, this next one is all about perspective. The law of relativity teaches us that nothing has any real meaning until we give it one. Every challenge you face is, in itself, a neutral event. It's a test, designed to make you stronger. It's only by facing those difficulties that we can truly appreciate our own strengths and our blessings.
All right, we're on the home stretch. Finally, let's look at the laws that maintain the universe's perfect equilibrium. These are the really elegant principles of duality, rhythm, and harmony that keep this whole system in balance.
We'll explore why opposites are absolutely essential, how all of life moves in these predictable cycles, and how the universe is built on a really delicate balance of what we call masculine and feminine energies.
The law of polarity is fascinating. It reveals that everything has an opposite. But here's the catch. Those opposites are just two sides of the very same coin. Think about it. Hot and cold aren't actually separate things. They're just different degrees on the single spectrum we call temperature.
And this idea is so profound when you really let it sink in. We only understand what light is because we've experienced darkness. We only recognize happiness because we've known sadness. Each extreme gives meaning to the other. You simply can't have one without its opposite.
And just like there's polarity, there's also the law of rhythm. Everything in the universe has a natural cycle, a tide that ebbs and flows. The seasons change, economies boom and then they bust, and our own energy and motivation, they're going to naturally rise and fall too. Understanding this helps us trust the process, knowing that after every downturn, an upturn is just around the corner.
And finally, we have the law of gender. Now, let's be super clear. This has nothing to do with physical gender. It's about the two fundamental energies that make up everything, the masculine or yang, which is the energy of doing, of logic, of action, and the feminine or yin, which is the energy of being, of intuition, of nurturing. True mastery, they say, comes from balancing both of these powerful forces inside ourselves. So, when you step back and you see them all together, you realize these aren't just 12 separate rules. They form a single, elegant system, a description of a universe that is deeply interconnected, constantly moving, and governed by a profound underlying order. And that brings us to the end of our tour through these 12 incredible laws. So the question we want to leave you with is this. As you go about your life, which of these laws do you notice showing up the most? Something to think about. Thanks for joining us.